Okay, now that we have set up a couple of functions with our combo box, I'm going to show how we can add a list box, which has very similar properties and controls of a combo box. Under our Developers tab, go on and select Insert, and we're going to pick the list box control. I'm going to add it to our form. Unlike the combo box, which is a drop-down, the list box is just a plain window, rectangle or square, whatever shape that you'd like to have it, but rectangle or square. And I'm going to show you how the code is very similar. I'm going to use the very same code that we used for our combo box add item that we had in a previous video. I'm going to double click this. We're in design mode. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to do sheet 1 dot, I'm going to change this to ListBox1 dot add item. And in case you're wondering how we obtain the ListBox1 name, if we were to click the list box, right click it and select properties, see that the name of the list box is ListBox1. You could actually change this name up. You could say ListBox if you wanted, and in your code, instead of having ListBox1, you would have ListBox.add-item. Let's try this code out. Take ourselves out of design mode. I'm going to click add item, and let's say we put test 1. And you see test 1 has been added to the list box. So we do add item, do test 2. And that item has been added. So it's very simple when you have a combo box just to integrate it into a list box. You may want to choose a combo box for saving space, or use a list box in order to show data in a better view where you can select from a line. And what I'm going to do in this next video, I'm going to show how we can add two options down here, and we can choose save to list box or save to combo box. So let me go on and do that right now. We're going to put two options, and it's going to be under Insert, Option button. We're using the ActiveX control, and we're going to set this up right here. Right click it, Properties. The caption, we're going to change this to Use Combo Box. And we're going to put another one next to it. Insert. And we're going to place it right here. Use list box. And what I'm going to show you, right now I'm just adding it, but what I'm going to show you is how we can use these options to prompt the user to select one. Whichever option is selected, whenever any one of these command buttons is clicked, we will use either the list box or combo box depending on the user preference. That concludes this portion of the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Okay, in this video I'm going to discuss events that can be triggered when you click a control, double click it, activate it, or other events that might be associated with the control. So in this case I'm going to discuss the list box. I have a list box here that has websites in it, but when you're out of design mode and you do anything to this list box, nothing happens. We don't have any kind of code associated with it, any kind of event. But what we can do is go to our design mode, double click the list box. If you notice, ListBox1 comes up. There are several different events that are here: before drag over, before drop or paste, change, click, or double click. So as an example, I'm going to show you on click. Message box, the list box was clicked. So we're taking ourselves out of design mode, and anytime we click it, the list box was clicked. Now, in order for the message box to come up, the user must actually select an item in a list box. If you pay attention very closely here, I'm going to click the list box where nothing is selected and nothing happens. But if I click within, click an actual item within the list box, then we get the list box was clicked. Now if I was to use the down arrow, you also get the list box was clicked. If we go into our design mode again, go to our list box, what we can do here is we can trigger any, we can put in some code when this event is triggered, and I'm going to show you what we can do using this kind of a list box with URLs. I'm going to just install a web browser into the Microsoft worksheet. And if you're not familiar how to do this, simply look at my web browser video that I have on my channel. Or again, that was just a simple insert, more controls, and just scroll down and select the Microsoft web browser. Now this is what I'm going to do. In the event that the list box is clicked, we're going to do if ListBox1.text, and what we should do is if the length of ListBox1.text is greater than 0, then, and we'll do some code. We'll do sheet1.webbrowser1.navigate, and we'll do to ListBox1.text, do events, loop until sheet1.webbrowser1.readystate equals complete. And you're not going to hit play. You could play it from here, but we're just going to close this out, take ourselves out of design mode. Anytime we click in here or use a down arrow, we're going to see this code execute. So I'm going to go on and select AOL.com. And you can see in the bottom of the page is starting to load, and there you go. The web page is loaded up. If we're to pick Best Buy, web page is going, and the page has been loaded up. So this is just a really quick example on how you can use these events that are within a control to trigger some more code. Like for example, double click. This one wouldn't do anything. We can just say you double click the list box. So if we were to double click the list box, take ourselves out of design mode, double click it. So you double click the list box. And also because the item was clicked just once, the code for CNN.com was executed to go to the website. Alright, I really hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching. Now that we have our two option buttons added to the user form or to our worksheet, we're going to put them to use and make them functional. Now what we're going to do is, we already had some code in here under add item, which will add data into our list box. Let's go on and set up some if statements. One of the things that you're going to want to look at are the properties of the option buttons. You have option button 1 and option button 2. If we scroll down to the bottom, we see that the value of option button 2 is true. I can set this to false by double clicking it. Actually, because these two option buttons are linked together, one of them needs to be true and the other one needs to be set to false. So we may be able to set this to a false, but it would need to be done using a command button. In this case, I'm just going to go on and have the combo box 1 selected as being true. Now, let's get the code started. Under add item, if you notice, we already had an if statement here. The very first thing that happens in the command button is an input box, what would you like to add? And as long as the length of the value that's entered here is greater than 0, then we add it to ListBox1. If they didn't do anything, then you did not enter a value. So we can actually leave this here, because regardless of if the user is choosing a combo box or a list box, we still want to put that they didn't enter in a value if they're trying to add something. Now here, on the other hand, where there's code to add an item to the list box, this is where we want to make stuff happen. So we have sheet 1. If sheet1 dot option button 1 dot value equals true. So if this is set to true, which right now it is, we would want to use the combo box. Then we put then sheet1 dot combo box 1 dot add item and then x. And we'll do the same thing for the list box, but we'll do if sheet1 dot option button 2 that value equals true, then sheet1 dot listbox1 dot add item and then x. And let's see if this works. We're going to take ourselves out of design mode. Right now we have combo box 1 selected, add item. This should go to combo box list, and hit OK. Right there, this should go to the combo box list. Perfect. Now, if the user was to select use list box, we'll do add item. This should be in the list box, and hit OK or enter. And there you go, this should be in the list box. So perfect. We're on our way with setting up the options. Let's go on and set this up for the other items, and let me show you how quick that can be done. So I'm going to copy the same code. Let's go to our next select item. Next button, select item. What item would you want to select? Enter a number. This is selecting an item in the list box or combo box based on its list index, and we can use the same code. The only thing that we're going to do is we're going to modify this. So in sheet1.combobox1.listIndex equals x. We'll put that for option button 1 because that's the combo box. And for option button 2, we'll change that to the list box 1. And let's just try that code out. Select item. Let's select item 0. Now remember what I mentioned in a previous video. When you're working with a combo box or a list box, the very first item in your list has the index number of 0. Your second item, its list index is 1. So if I was to pick 1 and we're looking at the list box, test 2 will be the item that's highlighted. And I'm going to hit OK. And test 2 is highlighted. I'm going to add another item to our combo box real quick. Add item. Testing 2. That way we have 2 items in here. Now using combo box, I'm going to do select item, and we're going to select item 0. And item 0 is selected, which was the very first item in the combo box. And let's continue up with the code and finish this out. Clearing the combo box or the list box is the same thing. It's only 1 line of code, but this will turn into 2 lines of code. If option button 1 is true, then we're going to clear the combo box. If option button 2.value is true, then we're going to clear the list box. Now before I apply that code, I'm going to go to the remove item one. We can actually erase this. I'm going to use the same code that we had before. If sheet1.option button 1.value is true, so the combo box option is selected, we're going to remove 1 item from the combo box. The item that we remove is the item that's selected, which is sheet1.combobox1.listIndex. The same thing can be done for the list box. So I'm going to paste that here, change the name of combo box 1 to listbox1, and don't forget to change it over here in your parameters, sheet1.listbox1.listIndex. All this is this is the item that the user currently has selected. So let's play this code out. We're going to take us out of design mode, use list box. I'm going to select the first item, which is index 0, and click remove item. The item was removed successfully. Now if we're to do use combo box, we'll select testing 2, which is index number 1, and we'll hit remove item, and the item was removed. Now clear, let's see if this works. This should clear out the combo box. Combo box has been cleared, perfect. And use list box. We're going to clear that out, and that's been cleared. We're all set. The more complicated one is going to be the search. The search is still going to be simple though, but the reason why it's more complicated is because in the search we created a for loop, and the for loop pretty much goes, it starts off with the very first item in the combo box, and it goes to, the repetition will go to the combo box 1.list count. So if there was 2 items inside the list box, it would go from 0 to 1 because it has -1. In this case, this would actually get an error because we don't have any items in our combo box or our list box. But if you wanted to apply these same codes that were up here, if for the option button 1 is true, then go through a combo box, then this is all you would have to do. You would do if sheet 1 dot option button 1 that value equals true, then this is going to be the combo box. Then, and then instead of having the code entered right here, we'll have the code entered in the next few lines, which is this. We'll tab it out, that way we know what's in the if statement. And then you want to do an end if. End if just tells Visual Basic that all of this code will be executed. This is all within the if statement. And this is going to be for option button 1 being enabled. Now for option button 2, you would just do another if statement, the end if. What you would want to change though is combo box 1 to ListBox1, and make sure you change every single one. So here we have the ListBox1.listCount, sheet1.listbox1.list, and let me explain what this repetition is going to do, just in case you didn't watch the previous video. In the search of the combo box or the list box, if the string test3 is found, then there'll be a message box that says that we found test3 in the, and then it'll be the list box or the combo box. So we're not prompting the user to return a value to search for, we're simply searching for the string test3. You could always change this right here, the test3, to an input box, like as we did up here, where x equals input box, and then we could just change the text to what would you like to search for, and that could be our input here for command button 5. Alright, well I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.